Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 455. Today is the 2nd of August, 2023. We have got good questions as always. We are going to get into that in just a minute. Got a couple of quick announcements, but we're going to kick things off and say hello to everybody. If you are here and live and watching, let us know you're here. Say hello in the chat. If you're not live, you could just, I guess, leave a comment and say, hey, I wasn't there, but I'm here now and I'm watching. Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing super good, super busy. Happy that it's not too hot here. I don't know what it is about summer, but I prefer more accustomed climate. And had also a pretty sweet weekend, so can't complain.
Nice. Yeah, I was talking to some people in Eastern Europe today, and they were saying it was like 40 plus Celsius. And then I was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's dropped back where I live, and I think we're back around 27. But for those who don't do Celsius, 40 is 104, so a little warm, at least by my standards. So I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. And I know you guys have had stuff like that, right, Chris?
Well, we were stuck at 37 this year, but last year we had I think above 40, and it's definitely not for me. I'm good with 10 minutes sauna, 15 minutes sauna, then I'm good. I don't need the heat all day.
Fair enough. Cool. Bradley, how you doing?
Good, man. Happy to be here. Crazy busy as always, but right on. We're here.
Still kicking?
Still kicking.
Nice. All right. Well, before we get into questions, got a couple quick announcements for everybody. Bradley actually just confirmed the newest speaker lineup. We've been talking to him for a little bit, seeing if this was going to be a workable thing. So Bradley, you mind telling people who the newest speaker at POFU Live is coming up here in September?
We got confirmation from both Peter Drew and Ted Kubitis now. So from Cora, and this will be good. I think we got a pretty good lineup this time, and I'm excited about it. Some people that I respect in this industry quite a bit. So that's always what I try to do is, bring people in like that. And so I think it'll be a really good event. And if I can get everything done that I want to get done by then, I've got a lot to reveal at the event. So
nice. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to everyone, but just with Peter Drew being the most recent, I know he's been doing a lot with AI. Of course, he has a strong background and continues to do work in SEO. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think the combination of him, I know Brian Cato's got a lot of stuff going on that he's been working on. So really looking forward to this. I think this year, not that there hasn't been things going on in AI before that affected SEO, but this year we're really seeing things come together. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see behind closed doors what these guys have to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, then speaking of POFU Live, if you haven't got your ticket yet, head to pofulive.com and grab it there. That's going to be September 29th and 30th, just outside of Boston, or I guess technically it's in Boston. We'll be updating with the exact location. I got to sign the contract tomorrow. And then as well, the VIP event. Come join us on Friday night. We're going to be taking the VIP attendees out. We have booked an entire venue and kind of doing a little takeover. Going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that. And we price it accordingly. It's not some huge crazy jump in price. We just want to cover the cost for the VIP event. Make sure you attend. It's a great time, hang out, spend the evening, with everybody, and just have a lot of fun. So happy to have you join us there. Let's see. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it right now. Anything else, you guys?
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. We got quite a few good questions. So
well, then, pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Do it.
We got some land flipping questions today. So.
Oh my God.
We went last week without any, so there had to be some this week. Anyway, let me grab the screen, guys, and we'll do it. Whoops, that was the wrong button. Right on. All right, let's jump into it. Starting with Peter. Hey guys, I'm in a competitive niche, and in my target blog post, amongst other content, I have a QR code image that if scanned goes to this blog post page. Would it help if the blog post would it help the blog post if I backlink this QR code image? If so, how would you approach mass embeds of the image file or some pbns, etc.? I've not tested that. I have no idea, to be honest with you. I like to use QR codes on images for Google business profile stuff, because the Google bot will read it and know that it goes to a URL. So it's just a little bit of a way to kind of, link images to a location or to an entity. Essentially, that's part of the reason that I do that. And also because I have not done any testing with backlinking to a QR code image or doing any kind of like mass embeds or publication distribution, et cetera, to see if that has any benefit. It's worth a test. But that's what I would do is set up a test and determine. I mean, there's a number of things you could do, right? I have no idea if it would do anything to build links to a QR code. I have no idea, but it's definitely worth a test. I would probably test with a few, like if I were to set up a test like that, I would probably, take a page, create a page that has very low competition, even like with SEO intelligence agency, they do a lot of single variable tests, and they'll like publish a page with gibberish as the keyword, like, you know what I mean? Like some sort of just made up word, so that you can deter and test different things, targeting that type of a word to see what happens in Google's index with that, if that makes sense. So that's kind of something that you could do with QR codes, right? To be testing different methods. One, does doing a mass distribution of a QR code, does that help SEO when the QR code is a link? I don't know, because I've not tested that. I've not read anything about that. It's probably been done, but I've not tested it myself. So you might even be able to find some case studies or blog posts about a test similar to that, where you can probably get some information. I always recommend testing anyway. I mean, just the same as I tell everybody that when I coach, don't just take my word for it, right? Test it yourself. And so even if you do come across some case studies or articles or anything about that, I would encourage you to also test and see if you can duplicate their results, right? But I would do a few tests like that. Number one, maybe create a QR code that links to a page that's very low competition or something that you make up just for purely testing purposes, and then run a bunch of backlinks to the QR code image URL and see if that does anything. I don't know that it will, but it's worth a test. Then you could also do another one where you, a different page, right? Optimize for something very low competition, and then have a QR code link to that page, and then do the mass distribution of the QR code and see, does it cause movement? And that's essentially how I would do it to test it. Just test on some stuff that is, not really anything live, but just something that you can test on and see what kind of results you can get. I mean, it's definitely interesting test and document it. That's the kind of thing that you can create a nice little case study out of, and create a blog post and generate traffic for other people that are interested in that kind of a test, right? There's a lot of things you can do with that, but I would definitely set up a test. I don't have any data on that myself. So hopefully that makes sense. Nick says, what are some ways to skew our link profiles for tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs to throw off competitors checking our sites? Well, I don't know, because you'd have to block the bots on the sites that are linking to you, right? Or you can build links in some other ways to your site. That's not going to skew the results of existing links, though. Like, in other words, you can hide link building activities. There's some ways that you can hide link building activities, although some of those ways are now even showing in Majestic. Like, for example, one is a canonical URL. Like if you create a page on a site on the same site that is, and then canonicalize the URL to what you want to build links to. So in other words, you can create a page, and you can even create a duplicate of the page if you wanted, just have a different slug, and then create a canonical or canonicalize that page to the original, and then build links to the canonical page. Does that make sense? Like, in other words, the page that you're canonicalizing to the main page. That's one way to do it. But although, like I said, that was a tactic that worked, it still works for link building, but in Majestic, you can see a canonical URL now as as a link, essentially. And then if somebody goes and searches or does a backlink analysis on the canonical URL or the page that is canonicalized, at that URL, you can then see the backlink profile again. If that makes sense. Redirects. You could always have a redirect URL that links to your site, and then build links to the redirect URL. Again, though, if somebody goes and does a backlink analysis on the redirect URL, then they're going to see all the links that are built to it. So, I mean, again, if you have access to the link sources and you can block bots there, that's one way to do it, because you can benefit from links and then none of the, and actually block all of the backlink analysis tools from being able to pick them up or crawl the site, which means they can't find the external links. Does that make sense? Here's the thing. If you put a bot blocker on your money site, that is not going to stop the backlink analysis tools from showing the backlink profile to the site. All that does is block bots from crawling that site, not the sites that are linking to it. If that makes sense. So again, what I'm saying is, like, for example, if you're using CTRify to build sites for backlinking purposes, you can go into CTRify and turn off or disable, block bots like ahrefs bot, which is, or the Majestic bot if you wanted, which is the MJ12 bot, or semrush, or any of those, or all of them, whatever. If you have access to WordPress sites that are linking to your money site, you can go in and add robots.txt file and block those bots. Or you can add, there's plugins that will allow you to do that. So there's a number of things that you can do depending on what access level you have and where, if that's clear. So I don't know. Hopefully that's clear. David, I don't know. I'd like to test this QR code linking idea. Yeah, it'd be an interesting test. Oh, is he asking if the QR image itself ranks? I don't think so. I think he's talking, from what I understand from the question, it seems like he's asking, is there a way to manipulate the QR code for SEO purposes? I don't think he's asking if the QR code, maybe I'm wrong, but my interpretation of the question was, could you do something with the QR code to produce more of an SEO effect? That's what I think he was saying. Let's see. Is that Cecilia's doing the land flipping question? Cecilia says no. What's up, guys? All right, moving on. Next one. Would it be helpful or harmful to canonicalize all WordPress image attachments to the page or post that they belong to? Well, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know why you would do that. Why would, I mean, again, I always set the settings to, you know, it should be in the SEO plugin settings typically, but image optimization, right? Like I don't want my photos to have their own like URL. I don't want them, like, essentially what I do is why would you canonicalize an image to a particular page? I just don't understand really the point of that. If I could understand the use case for that, then perhaps I could have a better answer, but I don't want my images to have like their own media file URL. They do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want them to be indexed as a separate file and all of that by Google. So I have my WordPress settings such that the image is associated with the page and that's it. That's clear. Like, I know that you can change your settings and have the image on its own URL, crawlable, indexable, all that kind of stuff. I typically don't do that. I just have everything kind of, the image is associated with the page that it's published on, and that's about it. So I can understand if you had it to where the images are indexable on their own URL and everything else, maybe. But again, I'm not sure what the point of that would be for canonicalizing. I don't know. Again, some of these theoretical questions, guys, I have no idea. If I give you an answer, it's pure speculation. And I try not to do that unless I disclaim that right up front and say, like, I don't have an answer to this, but here's what I assume would happen. But again, in SEO, we don't know anything without testing. We can't assume anything without testing. I mean, you can make some assumptions based on, you know, a number of factors, but all those are just guesses until it's tested. So I have no idea. I really don't even understand what the point of that would be. So I'm not picking on you, Bruce. I just don't understand the point. Okay. Anyway, Lane says, hey guys, I have a client that is asking for help with getting more leads. I know I can definitely help them with some basic local SEO and PPC. However, my concern is that they are very disorganized and won't be properly managing the leads. That's a problem, by the way. That happens a lot too. How would you approach the situation so that they will have maximum chances of benefiting off of all the work that I do for them and not just run all over the place and not return calls, etc.? Yeah, that's one of the things that is a problem, because if you find a lead buyer, or you're just doing even traditional SEO, like retainer-based services, and you start generating more leads for your client, or service provider, whatever, and they have a shitty sales system and no follow-up and everything else, then they're going to tell you that your leads suck or that you're not doing your job, because they're going to project their inadequacies onto you, right? That's what people do. People very, very rarely do people take ownership of their own problems. They always want to pass blame to everyone else. We hear it all the time. Okay. All the time, right? Your stuff doesn't work. Yeah, of course it doesn't. Never mind the fact that you didn't do it. But anyway, what I'm saying is the same thing goes with clients. If you start generating more leads for a company that has a shitty follow-up system, they don't return calls, or they don't answer the phone when the calls come in and things like that, they're going to tell you that your SEO isn't working for them, even though you are absolutely generating more calls. Or they're going to tell you that the leads that you've generated suck. No, your sales process sucks. Your follow-up system sucks. You know what I mean? Like, and so that is definitely a problem. So you have to, in my opinion, also to elevate your status and your value to a company, instead of just generating the leads, you can always approach them as like a business advisor and help them to also improve their business operations, right? And that certainly raises your status and your value to them. You become much more valuable and a lot less likely for them to shit can you later because they have a shitty sales system and they want to blame you, right? Hopefully that's clear. I'm just saying, like, it makes sense to not just be a lead generator and an SEO, but a business advisor, right? Because then you can tell them, like, listen, I can generate some more leads for you, but if you don't have a good CRM, a good follow-up system, good sales process and everything else, then how are you going to increase your closing rate if you have a shitty sales system? Just because we increase the inputs doesn't mean that you're going to have any more success, right? So you can help them to optimize that process. Again, a great way to do this is, I don't know if you're familiar with HighLevel, but HighLevel is a fantastic marketing automation platform, but it can be used as a CRM. And I push all my tree guys on the HighLevel if they want to have some sort of a lead gen relationship with me. Retainer-based clients don't have to be, but if they're buying leads from me or they're doing revenue share model with me or whatever, I force them on the HighLevel now, because I know most tree guys, they treat their businesses on, they literally have a clipboard and a notebook or a legal pad, and that's, or a planner. And they do, most tree guys that I've dealt with are old school and they use pen and paper. And so they've got really crappy follow-up systems, and some of them are more organized than others. There's no question, but a lot of them are pretty bad at that. So if I'm going to work with them on a lead generation basis, no matter how I monetize that, I tell them, okay, if we're going to work together, you're going to have to be on my, what I call lead management app or Tree Care HQ app, whatever. And so I'd only charge them $100 a month for that, but it's a 5-stage pipeline that automates all the follow-up. It builds a customer list so that we can send out review requests and do database or list reactivation later. We can send out a quarterly newsletter where we can, at the change of every season, we can send out an email blast to their customer list saying, like, hey, these are the tree services that you should be considering as the seasons are changing, et cetera. So again, that's what I call shaking the bushes, which generates more work from an existing customer list. Also, it sends out automated appointment reminders, like scheduled estimates, scheduled jobs, appointment reminders and things like that. Automated review requests. When a job is marked as complete, it automatically sends it out. These are all things that you should, or can and should, in my opinion, be offering to a company if they have a poor follow-up and sales and tracking system, right? And again, HighLevel is very good for this kind of thing because it has a learning curve, but once you learn it, you can create a very simple app like what I've done for my tree guys. It's a 5-stage pipeline. All they have to do, quote in, estimate scheduled, proposal pending, job scheduled, job complete. 5 stages. That's it. The contact comes in, they open up the opportunity card. They call the contact to say, hey, listen, I got your estimate, your request for an estimate. When's a good day and time for us to meet? They figure that out. Then he plugs that in using the calendar system built into the app. He plugs that, assigns that day and time to that contact. And then that automatically moves the contact record in, or the opportunity card as it's called, into the next stage, which is jobs, or excuse me, quote or estimate scheduled. And that sends out appointment reminders to the customer, right? Saying, hey, your quote has been, your estimate or whatever has been scheduled for whatever the day and time is. Then 24 hours ahead of time, they get an email and an SMS. And then 2 hours ahead of time, they get an email and an SMS, right? And then afterwards, that once he goes and schedules the job, or excuse me, surveys the job and writes up the estimate, the proposal, the written estimate which is called a proposal, then he presents the proposal to, or they're not all, well, all of my tree contractor clients are men, so I can say that. He will send it to the client, the customer, and then the card moves into the proposal pending stage, at which point it waits 3 days and then sends an email reminder. Hey, because if the customer hasn't responded to either accept or reject the proposal within 3 days, they get an email stating like, hey, just a reminder to review the proposal and reply back, do you accept or reject? And then once it's accepted, then he calls the client back or the customer back again and says, okay, let's schedule your job. It's a different calendar, right? It's 2 calendars built into the app. There's a quote calendar and the job calendar. And so then he schedules on the job calendar the day and time, and then moves it into job scheduled, and boom, again, appointment reminders go out. And then the last stage is once the job is completed, he goes in the opportunity card, he puts in the value of the contract, or he could have done that at the proposal stage, it doesn't matter. So now there's a value assigned to that client, and then he marks it. Once the job is complete, he just moves it into the job complete stage, and that sends out the review request for the Google Business Profile. And again, even a lead generation asset, it sends out the review request for my lead gen asset. Does that make sense? So then and now he's got the contact in a database that can be reactivated later. So, and again, that's only $100 a month that I charge for that. But that does a lot to help. Look, just in, well, when I include the high level app, or what I call the lead management app, and an answering service, which that's an additional charge, but that's something else, by the way, that with tree contractors, if I implement a 24-hour answering service for them, instead of sending calls directly, I do not send calls for any of my lead gen assets, or any of my buyers, or anybody that buys leads from me. They don't get calls directly from my assets. Every single one of the leads that I generate goes through a call center. So I have a 24-hour answering service I've been using since 2014. It's called answerconnect.com. answerconnect.com. That's who I've been using since 2014. And every lead that I generate, period, goes through the call center, unless it's a web form, an estimate request form, quote request form that was submitted. And that's just, was done online. But every phone call goes through the answering service. And just implementing that alone for tree contractors, even after the expense of the lead management app and the answering service, they increase their revenues by 30% on average. Like, without generating any additional leads, they increase their revenue from the same number of leads by 30%, even after the expense of the lead management app and the answering service. Why? Because tree service contractors are generally, at least the companies I work with, are very small, usually one crew operation. Sometimes they might have 2 or 3 crews, but most of the time they're one crew operation, which means the owner of the company is generally a working contractor, which means they're out managing their crew, or up in a tree, or running the equipment, the tree equipment, that kind of stuff. So they don't answer the phone a lot of the times when calls come in. So they miss leads. And if I'm generating a lead and I'm getting paid on pay per lead, or pay per, or what I call revenue share model, which is I only get paid when they close a lead, right? They've closed a lead, it turned into revenue, then I get a percentage of that. If I'm generating calls that aren't getting answered, then I'm losing money. Do you understand? So again, I want every call that I generate to go to a call center so that it's answered. Then we get the contact information. Then it's up to the contractor to follow back up. But again, that's where high level app comes in again, because every time a call comes through my answering service, there's a Zapier zap that pushes that data into the high level app, which then creates the opportunity card in the quote request column or stage. And then it sends a notification to the contractor, quote request received. Log into the high level app to process. And so they, again, right from their mobile phone, they can tap the link, it brings them into their high level app, and then it pulls up the contact record. They call the contact, to schedule the job, pull up the quote calendar, schedule the job, and then boom, it goes in the next stage and sends it out. Hopefully that's clear. But just what I'm saying is just an answering service alone for tree contractors generally, on average, increases their revenue with no additional leads generated by 30%. So something like that, again, Lane, is I would highly recommend that you work something into your product offerings or service offerings that is a solution for companies that have shitty follow-up and sales systems. And try to keep it simple. I don't know what industry you're in, but in the tree service industry, I've got tree contractors that just will refuse to use the app. And so I've actually customized some of to where they can do things via text. The high level app sends the text message to the contractor notifying they got a job with the contact details. And then they can send a text back to high level saying quote scheduled. And then that automatically will move the card into the next thing. It's an automation that I set up for some of my older tree contractors, when I mean like older in age, that don't want anything to do with using an app on their phone, which happens. So anyway, all I'm saying is if you want to increase the revenue, and if you got they're going to blame companies I've heard it a lot where companies will blame you and your leads for their shitty sales process. So it's in your best interest to try to help them to optimize that process a bit. And therefore, again, a lot of the times that alone, even without you generating more leads, will help them to be more profitable. So it's a valuable skill to learn and then work that into your service offerings. Hopefully that's clear. Jacob says, hey guys, with my agency, I also run 2 other brands that do similar things, one white label, another productized services, etc. Would it work to have them all go into one project management app and assign different SOPs and folders, etc.? Or is there something more complex needed? Wanting to really keep things simple. I'm not sure if you're just talking about project management app. My stack for managing my agencies, plural, is I use SPP, Service Provider Pro. So that's Service Provider Pro for our marketplace, where we sell products or services. So we use SPP or Service Provider Pro for that. Then I use ClickUp for project management, and I use Flowster for SOPs, for training my team and standard operating procedures. And then we use what's called Fusio as our database, which Fusio is it's a no-code database that I got off of, it's fantastic. But there's others out there. That's just the one that I use because I got it off AppSumo on a lifetime deal. Anyway, and I've been using that for a little over, probably closer to 1.5 years now, and it's been fabulous. So I use SPP is our kind of marketplace and payment processor, et cetera. And then I use ClickUp as project management, Flowster as SOP and training for my team. And then we use Fusio as our database for keeping track of all of the, client contacts and the projects and every article that we published, every link that we placed, all of that is all tracked in our database. So those are kind of the 4 things that I use. ClickUp could do a lot of that stuff on its own, but man, there's a learning curve to try to learn how to do all that. I mean, I'm not saying that there wasn't a learning curve to learn how to use 4 different apps. There certainly is, but I was overwhelmed with ClickUp. So I've used ClickUp in a very basic format for my team, because again, it's so easy to get overwhelmed in ClickUp. Adam, I see you chomping at the bit to chime in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's since I've been using it, I don't know, maybe 1 year or 2 before Bradley, and I've started moving stuff over, and so it is. I would highly suggest it for project management, but not to ever try to move everything in there at once. And then, because once you kind of learn it, or you have a team member who really learns it, then you can kind of open up the possibilities. But yeah, I think for most people, it would be a huge undertaking and probably a massive train wreck if you try to replace all those. And sometimes it's also too, if you have a tool you like, keep using it. I mean, There's something to be said for slimming down your tech stack, less money, less shit to learn and maintain. But I think, sometimes there's just good tools for the job. So we still use Notion. Even though we've moved out of it 90%, I no longer need it for a lot of stuff, but Notion is still a really cool tool to use, and I like it. So we keep using it, even though most of our stuff is in ClickUp. But I think, yeah, what Bradley's pulling up, I love Service Provider
So do
Pro.
I.
Once we started using that,
Yep.
I'm just like, man, that it just works. It's real nice.
Yeah, we have 3 semantic links, semantic SEO, local fury, and I'm about to get another one for our what's called local leads app. We're probably going to need another account for that. So I've got 3 accounts already for Service Provider Pro. I'm probably going to get a 4th. This is fabulous. This is a great system. I wish we would have known about this years ago. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully that was helpful. So I can't give you just a one size fits all answer for that, but I don't use one. Again, I even hired a ClickUp expert because they have a ClickUp, marketplace or whatever. You can go hire help, and it was like $300 an hour, and it overwhelmed me. Like I said, that's it. Like I use ClickUp in a very simple fashion. We have a pipeline with stages for my link building team or the SEO team, depending on which agency we're talking about, and they just move the cards along based on the kind of process that I developed for them. So we use, again, SPP, ClickUp, Fusio, and Flowster for SOPs. So, all right, moving on. Remy says, what are some simple, easy to implement things we can do, preferably white labeled, that we can apply to client campaigns to help them optimize revenue and conversions alongside traditional SEO retainers? Well, again, what I just talked about a moment ago, Remy, with Lane, I think it was about, optimizing their business processes, right? That's super helpful. Remember, guys, think about how many of you here struggle with developing systems for your own business, for your own tasks that you do, even stuff that you do repeatedly, right? Repetitively. I know because I've been coaching a lot of you guys in this space, at least in our little audience that we have. I know because I hear it all the time about, how have you systematized your own business? And if you haven't, why haven't you? And I already know the answer, because it's difficult and time consuming, right? Well, most of the clients that you're going to talk with are probably in the same boat, right? They're running their business and they are intimately involved in the day-to-day operations. Most of them, at least I deal with a lot of contractors and again, tree service contractors, generally smaller companies. And so they don't really have any kind of business optimization for the most part. I know different industries are going to be different, but what I'm saying is a lot of business owners aren't very efficient at managing or operating their business and developing systems, et cetera. And that's why they remain as small businesses and they don't really ever grow and scale. They might make a nice living for themselves and their family, but they don't really ever become super big. And maybe they don't want to become big. But I know a lot of business owners that have aspirations to grow their companies and the larger companies and make shit ton of money, but they have shitty processes, right? Or lack thereof, right? They don't have good processes. They don't have systems. And things like that. And so the point that I'm trying to make is if you can help them to systematize their business, productize their products or services, right? Like make it easier to fulfill, more efficient. Again, talking about even like something as simple as a lead management app or an answering service, if it's for a contractor, things like that are easy to implement on our end, but significantly valuable to the client. And we can help assist them in integrating those systems into their business. And that elevates our status from just a commoditized SEO provider to more of a business advisor. Does that make sense? So again, it increases your value considerably instead of just, right, think about this, guys. SEOs are a dime a dozen. I'm sure every business owner and every one of you on this webinar right now, if you have a real valid business, a real company, you probably get cold email all the time from SEOs in India and, and all over the world that send you, so what I'm saying is SEOs are a dime a dozen. We are a commodity. If that's all you do is SEO, you're a commodity. So that's why it makes sense to help optimize business processes, increase conversions, help with the sales process. All of these things that you can advise your client on to help get better results. Yeah, you might SEO might be kind of like your mechanism for generating more leads, but if you are helping them to process those leads more efficiently, close more of those leads into sales, now you are more of a business advisor than just an SEO, right? You become much more valuable. And so again, things like I just mentioned, lead management apps, so a CRM, SOPs, project management systems, follow-up systems, you know, answering services. All these things are fairly easy to implement if you have, you know, kind of a system, a process for it, right? And so again, with the tree service guys, like I said, I have one app that I develop, so I know it well, and I push that onto all of them. If they want to have a lead generation engagement with me, then I push that onto them. And so again, one industry, I only have to know how to build that and integrate those systems into one industry type. And then it's the same thing pretty much every time, which is why, again, going back to having one single industry is much easier to scale. So hopefully that's clear. There's a number of things that you can do to help them improve processes. Ola says, what is the how is best way to leverage press release stacking? I have a press release linking with URL anchored to a money site page. If I do another press release, how would you approach, and what anchors should I use to link to previous PR article? Okay, well, my take on this is I don't like URL anchors, period, just to start with. I don't. I think anchor text should be descriptive of what it is linking to. So I don't like URL anchors. I will do a URL anchor occasionally if we're trying to balance like a really over-optimized link profile. Then a press release, occasionally I will do something like that with, but I prefer still to use the brand name as the anchor as opposed to a URL anchor. It's just, it's a better way to optimize links, in my opinion. Okay. Anyway, but if you're going to stack with press releases, then you can link with exact match anchors or target anchors or topic anchors, depending if it's local, a target anchor is keyword plus location modifier, topic anchor is keyword only. So either way, you can call it an exact match keyword. If you're stacking, you can use exact match to link to the original press release or the first press release in the stack or silo, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully that's clear. But you can be a lot more aggressive that way. It all depends on what the URL to your money site is, right? What the anchor to your money site is. You said it's a URL anchor. So generally you can get away with exact match at tier 2. I've got a diagram for this. Stand by for one moment. It's the same principle applies no matter what type of linking we're doing. So give me 1 second. Okay. So if you're using a brand or URL anchor at tier 1 to link directly to the money site, then you can go at the press release. So this would be a press release here, right? Let's just say this is a press release. You got a brand, or in your case, a URL anchor pointing to the money site. So out here, you can go with target or topic anchors. Is that clear? So again, these are just kind of guidelines that my team goes by, but generally we do direct links to the money site are going to be brand URLs, not URL anchors, but brand anchors, excuse me. And then at tier 2, we do more target and some topic. And then at tier 3, which we don't really do a whole lot of tier 3s, only in rare cases do we do that. But tier 3, we would mainly stick with topic anchors, which are just keyword only, if that's clear. Tier 2, we do a really good mix of target and topic, but we can go more aggressive with target anchors here, if that makes sense. So that's just the way that we basically build links. Again, it's just kind of it's a loose rule. We make modifications as needed. Every project is different. We always analyze what we're linking to determine what the most appropriate kind of strategy is, but this is kind of loose guidelines to go by. Same thing would go with press releases. So I would highly recommend using a brand anchor instead of a URL anchor. If you're going to link directly to your money site from a press release, I don't recommend that. I certainly don't recommend that unless you are trying to just correct an imbalanced anchor text ratio, in which case press releases are good for that. But I prefer to use press releases and buffer all of the links from press releases through the Google Business website, preferably using either the main website URL or more preferably Google Post URLs. Hopefully that's clear. So anyway, press release stacking, again, the first release in the stack, if you're going to link directly to your money site, which I don't recommend, go with a brand anchor over a URL anchor, but in any case, one of those over a keyword anchor any day of the week. And then at tier 2 and or 3, or however many more subsequent press releases in the stack or silo, you can be a lot more aggressive with keywords there. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, moving on. Hey guys, this is from Gus. How would you approach SEO for a site that aggregates and publishes coupons as an affiliate? There's a single page for each manufacturer that contains the dynamic feed of buttons that goes straight to the affiliate offer via a cloaked link that is nofollowed and marked sponsored. Would you just focus on building links into the manufacturer's subpages and categories, or is there a way to programmatically create content-rich pages to maximize ranking opportunities? Most of these coupons are time sensitive, so that's my only concern. That is a really good question, Gus, and I can't answer that for you because that is way beyond what I do in local SEO. I'm sorry, man. It's one of those things where I would just be pulling stuff out of the air to answer this question because I have no idea. I don't do any of that kind of work whatsoever. I couldn't tell you anything about that. So I apologize, but seriously, if I were to give you an answer, it would be 100% bullshit. So I'd rather just be honest with you and tell you I can't answer that, man. It's not, I don't do any kind of work like that. I do strictly local SEO. I know there, like, you know, ranking organically is going to be, there's principles that apply, whether it's local or national, whatever, et cetera, for organic ranking, but I don't do any kind of affiliate stuff and all that. I just don't do any of that, man. I can't help you with that. I'm sorry, Gus. Moving on. Paul says, hey, SM, you mentioned last week a meta refresh redirects were okay to route traffic from ranking pages in the SERPs elsewhere. Is JavaScript redirect suitable for this as well? It's another good question. I don't know. I'm not a code nerd, so I don't understand JavaScript. I really don't. I know I probably should as an SEO, but I really don't. So that's another question I can't answer. You guys are screwing with me today. I swear to God. I don't know the answer to that. I know that JavaScript, Google has all kinds of crawling issues with that. How do I know that? Well, because recently I got turned on to a source for backlinks directly from Microsoft, MSN. But they're all JavaScript pages. And so Google won't crawl them and index them. Like, so I can get backlinks on MSN direct on the root domain, but they don't get picked up and crawled by Google. Well, I don't know if they're not, Google won't, they won't index. I don't know if Google's crawling them or not, but I know they won't index. And so, and it's because they're JavaScript rendered pages, which again, I don't even understand any of that stuff. All I know is that it renders in JavaScript. And so therefore Google won't index it. I don't even know if Google can crawl it, to be honest with you. So I thought I had access to a really powerful link source, but so far it's done nothing because I can't get Google to even recognize it. So again, I don't know anything about JavaScript. Some of the other people here probably know a hell of a lot more than I do. I have no idea if a JavaScript redirect would work for that or not. Meta refreshes do though, for sure. So I'm just a basic SEO, guys. You guys are asking me coding questions. I'm not that person. So Des says, how would you deal with clients wanting refunds for SEO work? Well, it depends on what was the original agreement. If there was no guarantee in the original agreement, then I would tell them to go shit in their hat. Seriously. I mean, it is what it is. Now, everything case by case. If there was something that, you know, if you or your agency made a mistake or did something wrong or whatever, you know, you can always refund or whatever, do a partial refund or something else. But what was the original agreement? That's why it's important to kind of set expectations and stuff ahead of time. I don't do contracts, just so you know, because people are going to say, well, then that means you should probably have a contract. Yeah, if you want, you can. I don't like to do contracts because I always say month to month. If I'm doing my job, you're going to want to continue paying me. If I'm not doing my job, you're able to just leave at any time you want. And alternatively, or on the other side of that coin is, if I don't want to work with you anymore, I want to be able to leave. And I don't want to be contractually obligated to continue working with somebody I don't want to work with. So that's why I don't do contracts. But it's real clear right up front. If I'm going to make a guarantee offer, that's going to be part of my pitch anyways, part of my offer. It's going to be very clearly defined. But if there's not going to be a guarantee, then that's going to also be said right up front, like, hey, this is SEO work. I'm getting paid for my work. It historically produces result. I can't guarantee the result because I don't work for Google, but historically it produces a result. I'm going to do that for you, and there is an expense to that. Therefore, there are no refunds. That's what I would say. But again, what was your original agreement? If they come to you afterwards when there was no original agreement about a guarantee and they say that they want a refund, I tell them to go shit in their hat, like, for real. Take me to court if you want. Now, as long as you have standing, if you did something wrong or whatever, then, keep that in mind. And by the way, I don't run to court over everything, guys. I absolutely would want to avoid that over anything, but most business owners are too busy to care and go after something petty too. Now, if it's tens of thousands of dollars or something like that, then that may be different. But if you're talking about a couple of months of SEO work, then a lot of the times it's too much hassle for them to pursue it anyway. Right? So anyway, you got to be clear about that stuff up front, guys. Kurt says, how can we rank for competitors' names? Any way we can accomplish with schema or via drive stacking, etc.? I don't know. I've not ever tried to rank specifically for competitors' names other than when I was doing and that was just for product names, not really competitor names, like when I did affiliate launch jacking stuff many years ago now. But I've not really tried to rank for other people's names, but I have done a lot of Google Ads campaigns on competitors' names. So what I call brand campaigns, and I learned that a year and a half ago, maybe now, from Mike Martin has a David something or another. Anyway, he's got somebody that one of his partners that does all the PPC stuff, who had it's called Agency Apps or something like that. And he did a brief course a little over a year ago, maybe it was a year ago. Anyway, whatever. It was about running Google Ads brand campaigns, and that's effective. It's pretty effective, actually. I don't particularly like the app that he uses to create the campaign. I prefer to do it more manually. But I've run that kind of a campaign, a Google Ads brands campaign for competitor brand names for several of my tree service contractor clients, and it works. Now, if one of the competitors that you're targeting for their brand name in Google Ads is also bidding on their brand name, like they're also running ads, then your cost per click can go up considerably. And also they will always outrank you if they are also advertising, like meaning in the ad section, they will always, as the company that is bidding on their own brand name, they will always be in the number one position. No matter, even if you increase your CPC value, max CPC value to like the highest, whatever, they're still going to outrank it. Their quality score is much higher. At least I've never seen a competitor ad outrank the brand's own ad for a brand name query, if that makes sense. But you can do it that way. And it's as long as the other companies aren't advertising for their own brand, you can get above them in search through ads. If that makes sense. And you can poach. That's what I call it, poaching clients. Because one of my tree service contractors actually asked me specifically, hey, there's this other company who's just dominating their, I don't know, he said, I don't know how they're doing it, but they are everywhere in our local town. They're doing radio ads, cable TV ads, and like, is there any way that we can capitalize on their brand recognition? And I said, yeah, let's run a Google Ads campaign for their brand name. We'll poach some of their clients. And sure enough, it works. Again, that's just another option. I don't know how to do it for SEO because I've not done it, but Google Ads is a quick and easy way to do it. Hopefully that's clear. David Cassar, there you go. So thank you, Cecilia. Thank you. That was his name. That's Mike Martin's. I don't know if it's his partner, but it's one of his colleagues for sure. Okay, Raylene says, hey, Bradley, I have some questions about Citation Vault. First, do you recommend using Citation Vault to create citations for our target business? Yes, but not to your money site. Don't link to your money site. Link to your Google business website if you have that published, or link to your Google Map share URL. Okay, don't link directly to your money site. If so, is there a particular way of creating citations using Citation Vault you recommend? Yeah, I just mentioned it. Also, flesh it out with decent content. You have a lot of capacity in there to publish, well optimized content. So I would recommend that you do that. Publish content that describes the products and services, a little bit of information about the company, like an about section within the content, seriously. And then also, the areas that are serviced. We do a lot of citation vault for link building clients, but because it's an off-page thing that we do, we don't optimize the profiles like with fresh content. And for my agency clients, I do. We optimize the citation vault profiles with really well-tuned content and everything else, because it does make it more valuable if it's more relevant, right? So again, quick and easy, just use it to link to your Google business website or to your Google Maps share URL, not the money site. Okay. Second, are the citation vault citations more powerful than regular citations? No, I don't think so. Not at all. They're still valuable, but I use it again to push kind of geographic relevance on a topical level. I'm not even going to try to explain what that means right now, because we're going to run out of time if I do. But it's about pushing geographic relevance at a topical level into the Google business profile. I would not recommend pointing it directly to your money site. And no, they're not more powerful than regular citations. It's a different type of citation. Third, we realize that citation vault citations don't seem to ever get indexed by Google. Is this an issue at all? Yeah, they get indexed. They get indexed, and especially the citation vault one will definitely be indexed, but they get indexed because you'll see them in backlink profiles, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're indexed. But you can also find them in Bright Local reports, citation tracker reports, etc. So, and I know that the citation vault URL, so the original profile, and then there's all the others, right? We build a lot of links to that. So, and it definitely indexes. Okay. Yeah. Remember, guys, links don't have to index for them to matter. They just need to be crawled. So that's what matters. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? Here we go. Roman says, Bradley, how are you doing when it comes to land flipping? Have you ever tried selling lands through a real estate agent? Yes, but I used flat fee realtors. And would you recommend selling land through a real estate agent versus selling land ourselves? No, well, I mean, I recommend selling it yourself, because otherwise you're paying a commission. And by the way, most realtors, they're not going to give your property the level of attention that you would, because they have other properties that they're selling. And also land is a lower, it doesn't usually sell as quick, and it usually is a lower kind of commission and all of that. So that, like, what I found is that a lot of the land realtors aren't really all that aggressive and everything else. I felt like I always did a better job at marketing my properties than they did. However, it makes sense to get it in the MLS. Well, how do you do that? There are flat fee listings like brokerless listings or something like that. There's a number of them right here. Brokerless, of course. This is a great service. The guy that owns this service is fantastic. He's a really nice guy. I've talked to them on the phone before, but it's flat fee MLS and realtor listings. So you pay like $100 MLS by owner, and you can have upgraded whatever, and then you set the buyer's agent commission. So if you list it with a realtor through a normal listing, you're going to pay a listing fee commission and a selling commission to the buyer's agent, right? So you end up paying anywhere from 4 to 6% in total commission. But with the flat fee listing, you are paying to get it inserted into the MLS. So you're not paying a listing commission. You're just paying a fee to get it inserted in the MLS. And then you can set whatever you want to pay as a commission to a buyer's agent, which can be a percentage or it can be a flat fee. And I generally, for land, I would do a flat fee. Because if I'm selling a property for $10,000 and a 3% commission, what would that be? $300? Well, I might say I'll give you $500 commission to sell this property that's listed for 10K. That makes sense. But you can adjust that. So flat fee MLS, brokerless is a good service. I've used this many, many times for selling land. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, a land flipping question. I know I saw 2 of them earlier. So Roman says, it's me again. Also, when it comes to land flipping, do you typically set up a website for buying land and another website for selling land? Yeah, I did. I just had the ClickFunnels page. Again, you can go see it. It's alphaland.realty, alpha ALPHA, land land.realty, REALTY. And I typoed it, which I always do when I try to talk and type. It's just a ClickFunnels landing page for buying land. And then for selling land, yes, I had a selling site. I'm not flipping properties now, so I don't have that site anymore. But I did have a selling site where I would just list the properties and the property details and a way to contact me. That's clear. Okay. Do you need 2 different domains for each site? No. You could buy one root domain and use that as like a brand page and information about what your company does. And then you can have a buy.subdomain and a sell.subdomain, or, like, so in other words, sell, you want to sell your land. You can have, you could do it on subdomains. You could do it on folders. You could do it any number of ways, right? Does that make sense? So you can all do it on one domain and use subdomains, or all on the same root domain, and just have a page for buying and a page or a category for selling, properties for sale, etc. So any way you want to structure that, man. What would you recommend? I preferred to keep my sales site, so that the site where I listed properties that I was selling, I preferred to keep that one separate. So, and again, I didn't really have a website. It was just this. And then I had a sales site. I don't know if that's clear, but anyway. Last question, or no, I'm sorry, 3 more. How do you approach getting reviews for lead gen rank and rent brands if they are rented to multiple tenants in a round robin style approach? Again, if you're using something like High Level, then whenever the job is marked completed, it will send out the review request to the client, to the customer, with the link to your Google, your asset that you want to generate the review to, right? So, for example, one of my locations, I've got 3 tree contractors that purchase leads that are generated from that location. Anytime any one of those 3 contractors marks the job as complete in my High Level app, which again, I call it the lead management app or Tree Care HQ app, whatever, when they mark that job as complete, remember, I set the High Level account up for them. So when I set it up, when I put in the Google Business Profile URL, the review URL as a custom value into High Level. And then in the automation that I have set up, the workflow automation, whenever they mark that opportunity card into job completed column, it's going to send an SMS and an email to the customer with the custom value, whatever that is. That custom value will be the Google Business review URL, right? And so if I've got 3 contractors all buying leads from the same Google Business Profile, then all 3 contractors are each going to have their own High Level lead management app that I set up for them. And whenever they mark the job completed, it's going to send the review request for the URL to the Google Business Profile that generated the lead. And I've got Google Business Profiles that show that, like, say, the client, the customer will post a review and say, Tree Care HQ contracted Jake Butler Tree Service, or subcontractor Jake Butler Tree Service. Jake was awesome. He did a fantastic job. Whatever. I couldn't say enough good things about Jake Butler. What I'm trying to say is sometimes in the review, they'll say subcontracted by, and they'll say the actual contractor's name that did the work. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I even state on my lead gen sites that, the contractors, it's up to the customer to verify licensing and insurance and all that kind of stuff, because we're just basically marketing. So I don't know if that's clear or not, but yeah, you can do that. And with High Level, it's easy to do that. So hopefully that's clear. Tyler says, would it be a good idea to make a subdomain that just aggregates Pinterest images from our branded syndication network? I have no idea. I don't know what the point of that would be for, Tyler, but that's another one of those things where it's good. It'd be good as a test. Don't do it on a money site. I mean, I don't know how that could hurt anything, but test it and see. I don't do anything with Pinterest, so I don't really know what the purpose of that would be. So I can't find the link for Wednesday webinar. Aaron says it's semanticmastery.com/HDHO. It's been that for years. So hopefully that's clear. All right, guys, we're just about done. Adam, is there anything that I need to cover in here?
I don't think so. I was just going back through the questions right now. Let's see.
I think David was talking about this. It's alphaland.realty. David, is this what you were talking about?
I think it's good.
Yeah, David, by the way, I had a call earlier today with one of our mastermind members who recently bought some of your stacks. And he was showing me one of the stacks, and what you've doing with those, man, is freaking fabulous. I don't know how you embed search pages, search results pages. Like, that's really interesting. I was looking at one of the stacks that you built, and I was just like, man, this is really cool. I've got to buy one. I'm sorry, man. I've not had the bandwidth. I'm so overwhelmed right now. It's not even funny, but I swear to God, I'm going to test your services as soon as I get a chance. But I was really impressed with some of the things that you built into those. So anyway, very cool. Is there anything else? Did I miss anything, Adam?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, appreciate y'all. We do have a mastermind webinar tomorrow for those of you in the mastermind. I've got some really cool results to show you guys tomorrow about the local landers, which is the second of two or three services that we will be offering as the directory hybrid agency. Brand builder, local landers, and automated appointments. We talked today about answering services and such. That's what automated appointments is. We talked about brand builder in the past, but local landers is the supporting geo pages. I'm using Yaks to build that, and just crazy the kind of results that I'm getting from that very, very quickly. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow in the mastermind, guys. So if you're not in the mastermind yet, now might be a good time to join.
Go join right now before tomorrow.
Right. Okay, guys. Wait, one more. Craig Bowser before we jump. Let me get David's link for you before we jump. And where the hell did I save it, David? I think I put it in Semantic Mastery. No, I can't find it. David, can you post your link again? And I'll, you know what? I'm going to get it from Facebook because I know it's in there. I have it saved somewhere. I swear to God, I just forget where I saved it. I know for whatever reason, we can't post links. You guys can't post links. So I'm just going to get it from David's messenger. Here it is on vetted. And by the way, I think if you use the vetted coupon semantic, you get 10% off. And don't worry, David, Vasco covers the 10% off, not you. There we go. That should be it. I don't know if it's going to fully unfurl there, but you guys should see it. Hopefully that's clear. Anyway, guys, we'll see you, some of you tomorrow and the rest of you next week. Thanks, everyone.